welcome to Teacher Talk.
Are you going to do it just like that?
Just like Australian like that a little bit.
Welcome.
No, I'm joking. Hi, welcome to Teacher Talks.
Hi, welcome to Teacher Talks.
Ready? Yeah, I think so. I'm going to get all nervous now. Oh, was it good? Yeah, it's alright. Welcome to Teacher Talks.
Hi and welcome to Teacher Talks. Was that too over the top?
This is Teacher Talks. My name's Alex Roberts. I'm a history teacher.
Do you not want to sound a little bit more enthusiastic? Like, you know.
Okay. Restart. Man, it's got to come naturally. You've got to have the music. Here we go with a 1, 2, 3.
Hardest thing about being a teacher? Just one?
Okay, so there's lots. I mean, we could be here all day.
There are many things that are hard about being a teacher.
Marking?
For me, it's realising that I can't do everything and I can't help everyone. I think that for me is something I struggle with. You kind of feel these kids are your kids, you put so much into them because you want them to do well, and sometimes you have to kind of step back and realise that you can't do everything.
And I think it's harder when it's a student that you know could have done well, who wasted time, who maybe didn't take the subject seriously, who wasn't in that place of maturity to focus and understand that this is something I can't mess up at.
If they're not willing to give as much, you can't do everything for them. And it's learning when to kind of say, right, I've done everything I can do as your teacher. It now is down to you or down to the student to do the rest of the work. And I find that hard because I will invest time or, after school, and I'll get myself worked up if they're not doing what they should be doing.
And sometimes it does grate on you. Not necessarily in a negative way, but you might go home and be thinking about it.
As I said, you don't leave school and just switch off. You do think about these students even after you leave. And so I have to sometimes stop making it play on my mind outside of school, because especially if it's not playing on their minds outside of school.
The hardest thing about teaching is just that emotional, psychological and physical aspect, which does drain you. Sometimes you can feel like you're kind of drowning in these things.
And sometimes it's just a case of, I can't dampen myself, or I can't lose part of myself in order to help someone who's not willing to be helped. And I think that's what I kind of struggle with. I need to be able to realise that I am giving my 100%, I can do what I can do, and if there's nothing else I can do, then I have to step back and look after my own health and my own emotional well-being.
Try and focus on the positives. Stick to the positives, because if you let the negatives get you down.
We're teaching them about the English curriculum or the maths or science or whatever we're teaching them about, but we're also dealing with people.
Teenagers. The amount of estrogen, testosterone and other hormones that are flying around your classroom and all that sort of stuff, trying to deal with that scenario and dealing with their problems, their issues.
But it is very hard to deal with an upset student who's very emotional.
Who are growing up and facing challenges, and sometimes there are things that we would love to be able to do to help them, but we're not allowed, we're restricted by our job role, so that's quite difficult.
The hard part, I would say, is the expectations that others have of you.
A lot is expected from you, whether it be from the head teacher, SLT, teachers and parents. Yeah, I just think there's a lot of expectation in such a little amount of time. You're expected to kind of deliver this outstanding teacher-ness. You're meant to be a doctor, a mum, a dad, a teacher. You're expected to get every student an A-star. There's the most sometimes unrealistic targets.
Sometimes you feel that you can't just say no for certain things. So that I can find hard.
Sometimes they do think we are superheroes, and as much as I like to believe that I am, it's not always real life. So for me, it's the expectation.
For me, the hardest thing about being a teacher, I think, is trying to have some kind of separation between work and personal life, and that's actually something that I've always struggled with, and that I'm still struggling with now, to be honest. And I feel like I'm still need to try and learn how to draw the line and how to switch off, because it just bleeds into the evening, into the weekend, into the holidays. And when you've got a family to think about and friendships, and those are the relationships that are really important in the long term.
Right now, I'm probably being a teacher and a family man.
Or being a new mum, I've really had challenges this year with trying to balance the two. But as much as I love my students, and I do, and I want the best for them, I am a mum first and foremost, so I have to learn to balance my time a lot better. I think time management this year has been my main thing. I can't say I've 100% conquered it yet, but I'm still working.
But do you think that's helped you then to become? Has having your daughter helped you to be able to draw the line more, to leave work at work a bit more?
Yeah, no, I definitely now see the bigger picture. Before, I was Miss Stewart, the yes woman, and if it meant that I was there at 7 and I left at 7, I wouldn't leave until when everything was done perfectly.
Not 8:30 till 3. Like most people think, I'm normally at school by about 7:30, and I don't normally leave until about 5, 5:30. And when you've got that on top of teaching 6 lessons or 5 lessons a day, it really, really takes it out of you. So the workload behind the scenes, behind being in front of the class, is obviously the planning, the marking, making sure what you're planning is actually decent and the kids are going to be engaged by it. It is so draining.
Sometimes being a teacher, you just don't have enough hours in the day, and teaching is a role that will drain you.
So one of the hardest things about being a teacher is not being able to do right by the students that I teach because of administrative decisions, rather than me not doing my best in the classroom.
Put so much pressure on yourself that you feel like you're becoming a lesser professional by having a life.
And so with things like increase in class sizes, increase in marking load, and all the other things that you have to do around the school, whether it's a pastoral obligation or being a parent.
So that's the hardest thing, trying to get that balance and making sure that you're prioritising the right things.
As a teacher, as I'm sure many teachers can agree, you will have days where you think, why do I do this? You will have days where you think, why am I doing this? I've had this question, I've had this issue already, why am I still doing this? Am I appreciated? You ask that question. Am I appreciated? Am I being paid enough for what I do? Why am I dealing with all these kids? This isn't my responsibility. Why do I have to do this? But that's the thing with teaching. It's like, it can be a real love-hate relationship, but you do get a lot of love.
Also, not laughing in certain scenarios is really quite difficult. Not shouting or swearing in certain scenarios is really quite difficult. And not being able to go to the toilet when you need to is really quite difficult. We have to schedule toilet breaks as a teacher. That's quite tough.
Hard. Yeah, I think that's it.
Don't forget to like, share and subscribe
To Educated Minds.
Peace out.